All right, here it goes, man. Here we go. We are live. All right. Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson, the Ring of Hire Show. Hey, listen, tonight, I got my buddy over here, Joel, Mr. Joel Villa from Pennsylvania. How you doing, Joel?
Good,
He's
man.
ready.
Good. Excited.
He's ready to go. Hey, tonight we're going to do a great show, and it's one of our favorite subjects about leadership. But tonight it's going to be, we're going to talk about how to handle difficult employees and maybe shoot some ideas back and forth. But we'll be right back after this video. That's it, man. We're
That's
done.
awesome. I love that thing. It gets me so hyped up, man. I tell you.
Isn't it true? We got Shelly already on. How you doing, Shelly?
Hey, Shelly.
Shelly, I want to tell you something about Joel. See, I sent him a picture of Shelly from Amazon of my new Army shirt, right? My new Army shirt. And I told him, I said, you're going to get your Marine one, right? Oh, yeah. Now,
I
look.
always forget. Even on Veterans Day, I always forget to put that thing on. I'm just like, oh,
I know.
I always forget.
The Army, the Marines. I was like,
Yep.
Hey, But, yeah, we're going to go right into it. But, with negative employees and just people that are negative, being in the military, I don't think, I don't know if you dealt with difficult people, but it was just, I don't know, it was just totally different. You just did what you were told.
Well, yeah, that too. But it's also everybody kind of relates to it by you're in the suck together. I guess would be the right term. Everybody's in, like, we're all in the same pot together. We're all in the same suck. It's always going to be bad for us.
Shelly says, love our servicemen and women. That's right, Shelly. But Army, maybe next time Joel will have his Marine shirt.
I'll definitely have it next time.
All right, you'll have it on next time. No, but when it comes to leadership in the military, when I said about difficult, I think because of the structure that you had, it's so, you're talking, I mean, you know what I mean? From God, you had your NCOs, you had your officers, and everything was just, I don't know, you listen to the people like we're about 2 ranks ahead of you. Mm-hmm. You scared the living hell out of me. Being only 19, 18 years old, and you got these guys yelling at you and screaming, and
you don't even know what's happening. You're just like, I'm just doing stuff. Yay,
No,
I think what happens is, like, I don't know what the Army has. I guess they call it a big Army, but we have what we call the Fleet Marine Corps. So you get out of boot camp, they call it. You go to your MOS school, then you go to the Fleet. And the Fleet is when you have that job. You got to wake up in the morning, you go PT with the crew, then you go to your actual job. If you're in infantry, obviously you're going out to the field, you're going to learn infantry tactics. But if you're a logistician like I was, then you go to your job and try to set up programs and stuff like that. Try to figure out what the next evolution is going to be for the next support, next operation that you have to support. And how are you going to do that? Hey, Rob. Oh, you muted yourself.
So I know Rob was looking for a job. Hey, Rob, did you get a hold of those people? I know he said you might have a possible job. So we're hoping if anybody's looking for a great worker, you can connect with Rob here in Pittsburgh. No, he's not in Pittsburgh, are you?
Yeah, he is. He's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, he is in Pittsburgh. That's right.
He's in that area.
Yeah, so hook up with Rob there. Yeah, but I will give you one thing though. The Marines did have you did have a harder boot camp. I'm going to give you that. You 13, did. I mean,
13 straight weeks, not including MOS school or anything like that.
No, ours was a lot lenient. I mean, I think the Air Force is probably the best. Air Force is just like, okay, boys,
like 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, and they stayed in the best barracks. They were the best every single thing. But tonight's show, everybody, is going to be about how to handle like difficult employees, and when you do some research on it, I still believe that people don't want to confront and have that issues with the people to correct their behavior. I call it a behavior modification. That's what I call it. I was told that.
Perfect terminology.
Right? Behavior modification. If the person's not doing things. But what do you do with an employee that's just constantly friggin' negative? I'm going to give you one short story that I did that I couldn't. This one guy in the paper industry, when I got out of the military, he was always running his mouth real loud. But he was a top producer on one of the machines. He was a top producer, but always running his mouth, yelling, screaming all the time. Everybody was saying, stop yelling, stop doing this, right? He would be cussing and swearing. The one time I hear yelling, right? And I'm talking to my guys, that's just Dave. Don't worry about it. I look over his friggin' legs, his arm, he's caught in the machine, his arms, his legs were kicking. He was screaming. They got him out. We couldn't find any ice pads. They took them all, and you put them out there, and then the employees would take them. And you didn't have it. He was okay, but my point there, just for being, he was so negative. I was so used to it. I was like, that's just him.
Yeah. You don't pay attention to it anymore. So that's a huge downside, particularly with the negativity and somebody's out always yelling and cussing and stuff like that. You're just like, okay, whatever. And something happens. It's like the boy who cried wolf.
That's what I mean. And I get to the point now, I think as I get older, I don't know, maybe it's just that, but the negative employees, I don't want to be around them, man. I can't.
No.
I think you got to confront it at some point when it comes to, like, let's just say job performance.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, sometimes the most negative employees are they're very knowledgeable. But when it comes to their job performance, if they're negative, what do? You always, some people look the other way, but
yeah, a lot of people nowadays, like I say, that's a big HR thing as well. Is if they're being really negative and stuff, if they're starting to bring down the morale around there, they start bringing down the morale, start affecting other people. Yeah, that's when you just got to have that one-on-one conversation. And a lot of managers, a lot of supervisors do not want to do that. They don't want to have that confrontation. But sometimes you have to bring it, and don't do it in front of everybody. Do it on one-on-one. Bring them into your office or go to a neutral spot. Like if you have a training room, take them to a training room. Like, hey, what's the deal? What's going on? Or take them to their break room where they're more familiar at and say.
You do have to watch compared to years and years ago. And I agree with you with like HR. You have to really be careful what you say and how you say it. You really do.
Your favorite people in the world, HR.
Yeah, I know. HR, they scare the hell out of me. They always have. They still, don't get me going on that because they do. They don't just call me to say, hey, Dave, you're doing a great job. It's like, no. But what I will say with HR, which they have to do is if it's when I go back to the job performance, and some people just only want to do what they can do. That's it. They don't care about anything. Mm-hmm. If you're doing more, some people sabotage. Some things do things to different people to stop them. They're like, what are you doing? Why are you working so hard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can really take a team, especially when you're in a team meeting and you have that negative person out there saying something while you're talking.
Oh, I hate that. That is the worst. And you got to figure out how to deal with it and stuff. And I was at a company one time where I was trying to address everybody. And then one of him and I were friends off of work. And so I wasn't expecting any pushback because the company was changing something. And I had to tell everybody during this meeting because we always did this meeting at the beginning of the shift. And I'm trying to tell him what the news was. And he just like told me, why does the company do this and stuff? I'm like, well, I don't know. That's just how the company is. And he goes, well, we need to do something like that. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that because this is the new rules. And he just kept back talking me, and I had to address it right there in front of everybody. I'm like, I had to sharpen the knife hands, pull them out of the sheets, and like, look, we'll talk about this in my office right after this. You done.
You got to stop it if you allow it. I agree with you totally. If you got that heckler or someone in there, you can do it right, and you can say it really kind of professional in that way. Say, listen, man, we're going to talk right after this, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's just keep it down right now. We're just going to move on. If they continue, I've asked them to leave. I'll take the person. I'll end the meeting or something to get that person out of there, because those other employees are watching you.
Yep,
they're watching you how you're going to handle it. And I'm a lot better than I was. I shouldn't say it like that. Better than I was, but I learned. You learn a lot. Evolving. You learn a lot because before I would engage, and you as a new supervisor, I can tell people, listen, from experience, and just don't engage with it. It's hard. I'll sit back now and all right, Dave, just shut up, Dave. Just let it go, and then deal with it later in your own way. But if you get into engagement, all it's going to do is embarrass you in front of your team, and you're going to say the wrong thing. And you know who gets in trouble?
You do.
You do.
Exactly.
You get in trouble.
Yep.
Because you said something the wrong way, and then HR could come back to you, and that's their job. That's their job to do both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that's why I said I can't engage anymore. I have to stop.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say the wrong thing. And you don't, because today's world, listen, that person can be very upset. And before you know it, you're going to start screaming. People are yelling and something can happen.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you really have to check yourself too. Yeah. You have to, have that knowledge to not say the wrong thing. And particularly like young people who are just getting into that supervisory role and stuff.
That's hard.
That training can be very, very hard on them. When it comes to like people like us who have the experience, who've been around the block a time or two, we actually know, like, we can sense our tempers starting to get up. We know what pushes our buttons, and we can, temper ourselves down. That's
a good way to say it. Yeah, I would say it like that. Yeah, I don't blame you there, and I can't even picture you getting mad, Joel.
Oh, dude, I do. I respect quite a bit.
And the part is after the meeting, and I hear it, for being a new supervisor, you're right. Listen, I tell everybody, when you're in management or leadership, if your stomach isn't nervous, or if you're not slightly sometimes when you have to engage employees or do something, then you're not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you're too comfortable, sometimes you can say the wrong things or anything, you know what I mean? But try to hold it back, and you really got to look at yourself, because again, end that meeting, bring the employee in and have that one-on-one, take care of it right away.
Yeah.
I've learned, take care of it right away, because if you put it off, I'm going to do it at the end of the day. You know what? You don't do it.
You're not going to do it. Yep. You're going to look at your watch and be like, you know what? It's the end of the day. I'm not going to do it.
Rob says, if you have a problem and you don't trust management team and HR, what are you supposed to do? Joel, I'll let you start that one there.
That's a tough one. What can you do, Rob? Actually, what I would suggest, because he called me and told me a little bit of what's going on with him, and talking with that, with his situation and stuff, or just with anybody in general. If you're having that kind of problem, you got to go maybe to the next person up, if that's a possibility. Or, sometimes these companies have the anonymous box, or what we call it in the Marine Corps, the any mouse box. So it's a fun. Did you ever have heard the any mouse box?
No.
So there was a colonel a long time ago, late 90s, I want to say. He's right. Like, let's make an anonymous box so everybody can put their comments into it. If they have anything to say about the command, they could say it in this box, and it'd be completely anonymous. Well, he didn't know how to spell anonymous, and he spelled it out on this little the PowerPoint presentation he's doing, he spelled any mouse instead of anonymous. And so everybody, just to make fun of him, always called it the any mouse box.
All right, we used to just, hey, you know what? Like you said, it's something that simple. We used to have the boxes. Remember, you put the boxes on there. You would put something in there. You could say, speak your mind. You would be able to write it and put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you better be prepared for some really good notes in there.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be surprised. You'll be like, what? You'll be looking at it. But no, with Rob there, oh God, that's where a company culture comes in.
Right.
That's where if you feel, and I think we've all been there. Listen, mm-hmm. I think we've all been there. If you feel that you can't trust the managers and you can't trust HR, if you can't trust HR, then I'm sorry, you can't trust many people. HR, and I'm going to stick up for them this time, but they have to be a good HR person. They don't have they have feelings, but they're very cold.
Right. Yes. They have to be.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they have
cold
to be.
In a way, like they can't joke around. They take it very seriously. So if you have a great HR person, listen, they have to be they cannot lean towards one side. They're there for the employee and for the supervisor.
Yeah, exactly. They have to take the sides following the guidelines as forth by the company.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's when they come out with their decision. I've seen it go the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if that supervisor's wrong, that's where the HR should be saying, hey, listen, calm it down, Dave. You know what I mean? Calm it the hell down,
Mm-hmm.
And same thing would like say for Rob, but the trust, wow, if you feel that way, God, the advice, man, I'll tell you, like you said, you'd have to go to somebody else, or you got to find somewhere else to work or something.
I was just about to say that too. It's like you might as well just start looking somewhere else. If you don't trust the HR and you don't trust the management or anything, you might as well go somewhere else. Like that's one of the reasons why I left that one company I was telling you about beforehand. Is it was a small company. HR lady was caught stealing from the payroll, and she kept her job. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, no, but HR. Listen, I think when you have a good HR department, you really have a good company. Because they're the ones you should trust. I do dog them. I'll get some kind of message from somebody saying you called me cold, but you know what I mean. Like that, they can't really joke. Good HR people don't really joke around with you that much because they just can't.
Yeah,
they can't do that. They're part of their job. So I would just tell anybody to go to someone else higher up. If you feel that way, and try to do something like that. Because I don't know what else to say towards that. Because if you feel that's tough, that's real tough.
It is. It's tough. You're in a certain bind. You can only do a certain amount of things, and it's just like what can you do? And just what you just said. Pack your bags and start looking for somewhere else. Honestly,
I think you got to. One part of the thing here it says on uncooperative on teams, and it was a Harvard study. I was like, I got to read this now. What they're saying. If you have somebody that's just negative and in an office environment and it's always just bringing your team down, a toxic person versus a complainer or anything like that, you're toxic people. They're saying shift their desk around, put the other person to work at home more, right? And I'm thinking, I had to read it again. I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, I get moving their desk around and all right, let me just figure little things out. But there again, you got to nip this in the butt. You got to take care of it. It will eat you alive as a supervisor and manager.
Oh yeah,
and an HR director and employee. It'll eat everybody alive if you don't confront the issue.
And you can feel the vibes too. You can feel the vibes as it's happening around there in the team. You could almost cut the tension with a knife at certain times, depending on situations. And you have to address that. You have to figure out what that toxic person is. And you, like I said before, you have to bring them off to the side. Like, hey, why is this happening? Why is this going on?
There you go. Because what they were saying also in there is like, you don't know what's going on in that person's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what we're saying in here. Like, you do have a lot. Andre said it well. And I when I had him on the show, the first thing I saw on his profile there, he was saying is because of having cell phones now, we bring our life with us to work.
Yes.
You bring all your personal problems with you to work. You bring all your problems with your children to work. You're on the cell phone. So you're trying to work plus deal with issues going on at home. So a person, I like what you said, you got to think on how you can talk to that person. Maybe there is something going on, you know, and and you can help. That's a good sign of a good leader there that's going to help somebody. I mean, I'm sure you've run into that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And my biggest thing I could tell a lot of people is you're not a good manager if you don't know how your people are handling their personal lives. Right. You know what's going on with their personal lives, then you're a really good manager and you can actually handle a lot of stuff that's happening.
Well, a lot of companies have a lot of things for mental health issues. And I don't like that word. I like mental health versus some other stuff the way I say, but mental health doesn't mean you're crazy. Doesn't mean you're, you might be having some problems, but there's a lot of companies, nobody uses them, has counselors. They will get you counseling, if you need it.
Google does that.
What's that?
I think Google does that. Google has that.
Oh God, yeah, right. Oh, Google the company. I'm thinking, no, you just Google it. Yeah, no, I think they do. Yeah. You have to show empathy, but then at the same time, I think there again, as a supervisor or manager, you really still have to watch what you say.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a certain line. You yourself being a leader have to have that line drawn too. You got to know what you are going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate, and you can't bend the rules for one person and not the other. You got to have that hard distinction that's right there. You can't really have too much of a gray area.
Because I think with having problems, sometimes you could ask the person to go home. I've done that. Listen, you want to go home? Maybe you're not in the mindset today, especially if the person's in like just say, for example, in our field, logistics, if they're on a forklift and you're having problems and you're not thinking, you might see something and maybe that person's really struggling and he just needs somebody to talk to, he or she. Go ahead and talk with them, pull them out. Maybe they need to go home for the day. I'd look at all different avenues if it came to that, if somebody's having some real hard issues.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
by the way, I wanted to thank you for everyone reaching out to me and helping through this nightmare. Oh, Rob, you got it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob.
Yeah, he'll come back stronger. Yep.
There you go.
But some employees are just come back to the point of they're resistant to change.
Yes. Oh, I think I said this on our show before when we were talking about leadership. There's only one person in this world that loves change, and that's a wet baby.
Oh, Jesus. that's a truth. Oh my God, I didn't think about it that way. A wet baby. All right, that's not bad. Okay.
The only person that likes change is a wet baby. Other than that, everybody is resistant in some way, in some form or fashion to change.
And that's where sometimes it's okay. Listen, God, the one company I was with, I hated this saying and the culture of it. Manage the person out, manage them out. That's what it was. Just manage them out. And at first I was like, manage them out. What the hell does that mean? Oh, so you're going to force this person out to find another job. You're going to put pressure on them. You're going to write them up. You're going to do every single thing you can make that freaking person's life miserable.
That's a bad.
I'm sorry. That is a bad way. And if I ever got into a situation like that again, I would confront that on a dime. I would stop it right there and say, we're going to stop talking right now. We're going to go somewhere else and talk.
Yeah.
Because that kind of culture there, manage them out.
That's a horrible, horrible culture.
That's just a baby. You're afraid to confront the issue. Mm-hmm. You're afraid to, listen, in my book, if you've helped that person over and over, and I know you would do that, like you said about when they're running the machines, different thing. What's causing the problem? Okay, maybe there is something. But if you've given that person all the chances, it's okay to change. It's okay to maybe they just don't belong there.
Yep. It happens. I mean, I've worked with a few people at different companies who can't even count the amount of fingers on their hands. Yeah. And those people definitely, you need to go flip a burger, man. Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just go. And sometimes it's a relief for your team. Mm-hmm. You will see your team change in a dime when that person's gone. When that person.
We had a toxic person who was not changing their attitude. They weren't changing no matter how many times we talked to him or anything like that. And he was not changing. Once we actually got rid of him, and the whole atmosphere in the facility changed. It was all for the better. Yeah, all efficiencies went up, productivity went up. It was phenomenal. We weren't missing pieces anymore. We're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Your employees watch you. They watch you as a leader and a management. Being sometimes when you're out of management for a while, you see things, you'll be like, oh, I would do this, I would do that. Then I'm like, Nope. They got to learn the hard way. And sometimes the hard way is making the mistake.
Yep, exactly.
When you make a mistake as a leader, you won't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You will.
That's the way you can learn too. You have to make mistakes in order to learn as well. That's how you get the experience.
Yeah. And like I said, I think I felt bad with Andre. I said, Andre, everything in that book was me on some of it. I was like, geez, but as you go through all the years of management and different scenarios, I think it only makes you better. I'm not just saying it because it's a book, but it does. It makes you better because you've been there. And not like, I hate that saying, been there, done that. But when you see somebody struggling, I've gone up to somebody and say, dude, why do you allow that? Why do you let that person talk to you like that? Stop it. I know you're going to be nervous. Your stomach. Bring that person in. Sit them down. Have a great conversation, keep it professional as you can, and listen. Just listen to the person, because maybe you'll know why he's feeling that way, he or she. But there again, sometimes it's just you can't. It erodes your trust and everything.
Another thing that's really tough, particularly if you're in a management position or a supervisor position, is when you bring in a friend of yours into the job. Somebody needs a job and you get them the job there, then they start acting the fool, thinking that you're going to be all friendly with them.
That is one big mistake. I've been there and I did it.
That's really hard to separate too.
Yeah, when you separate that from work. I mean, I was my parents' boss. My God, my mother, my father, my brother. When I got in the military, in the manufacturing, I'd be like, I had to write my dad up. Then my mom would run the machine too slow, and You know, I was in a union shop. It was 120 people, and I was just out of the military. And I'm telling you, these people were there, strong union, and I was, oh my God, you know. But you know, the funniest thing I learned,
that had been horrible.
The funniest thing I learned, you know, because everybody says, well, you're in a union, it's hard to let somebody go, to get them fired, and it is true. It is harder,
Yeah,
you know. But when I left the industry, and then I went to another company, and I was like, wow, I can actually fire people. I don't have to. But you know what I learned was you don't want to do that all the time.
No.
I learned going from, oh man, I wish I could fire him, to where, because if you go into it as a new leader, if you go into a company thinking, right, you know, you're tough now and all this, right, I can fire you. You have no workers.
No.
No.
That's when you start intimidating everybody with fear, and nobody's going to work or be productive or anything like that, and you're going to end up having no employees whatsoever, and the company's going to go under.
Well, one of the biggest things they say here is you don't document enough.
That's hard too. Yeah, I've seen managers who don't document or anything, and I'll admit, I hate paperwork. I'm probably the worst one at paperwork. I'd probably tell somebody, hey, look, you can either get paperwork or you can go do like some extra stuff or whatever.
But you know, you're going to have that one employee that's been writing everything down.
Oh yeah.
They're going to have time, dates, everything that you said, what you said. Yep. And I tell new people all the time, sometimes the way they talk, I'm like, don't say that stuff, man. Don't say that stuff. It's going to come back and bite you.
Yep, exactly.
Because when you're in front of HR and they're saying, well, Dave, you said this. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're like, what do you do? You know, but I tell everybody, you need to document your meetings, or just times and events that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it goes, but they're going to come after you and the person sometimes. I don't know. I'm sure you've run into that. You had to.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they come after you and the person. They bring you both in, and you know, I've seen it happen to other managers too. They brought both the manager and the employee in. They both got let go that same day.
That's what I'm saying, because they will let you go also.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. That has not happened to me with the employee, but I've seen it happen before. Yes. Plenty of times. So I've seen like managers blow up on other employees and stuff, and employees blow up on managers, and they call them both in.
And they get rid of them. But you know, if you really think about it, and if somebody's listening, you can change one person's thing, is really just follow the rules as close as you can. Nip it in the butt when you're talking to somebody in meetings. You know, don't go home and your stomach's a knot because I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I got to write this person up. It's okay to write them up. They might be looking for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I've had to write up people before, and it's completely changed their it changed their whole attitude. Like they changed for the better. You know, either the productivity went up or the attitude changed, which brought other people up around them as well. And you can't write somebody up for having a bad attitude, but I guarantee if they have a bad attitude, they're going to make a mistake somewhere too.
No, that's what I mean. You know, what is that called when they put you on? Oh God, it's been a while. When they put you on where you need help, you're about ready to lose your job. They give you an action plan. What the hell did they call that?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, they put you on and that was your savior, like in a way. I forget the damn name of it. Oh my God, I'm gonna have a freeze.
It's like Last Chance or something like that, or
and you put them in. They write you out a plan, action plan. You got to write it out. You got to follow it. And if you do that, you'll be out of that. And that happened to me. And I'm trying to think. I can't remember the name.
Or if any of our viewers have that on there,
hopefully somebody remember what that's called. Yeah. But that's a great way. A PIP. I'm sorry, PIP plan. PIP.
PIP plan. Yeah, there you go.
PIP. Yeah. So I was put on a PIP, and you know, a good PIP plan is not. It's not to just say we're going to let you go. It's really if a management teams write that up and say, okay, Dave, listen, and that's what they did to me. You know, because I was having some problems with the company, with the company that I oversaw with staffing, and it was just a matter of getting me in line, you know, of saying, okay, Dave, we're here for you. We have your back. All right. But this is what you need to do every day. Do this every day. And when you signed off on the stuff, it really focused you to get everybody off of you and then right back into to doing a good job. You know what I mean? You know, you were right back up there. You're like, oh, thank God. You know what? Because it really helps you. You know, but if you're doing a PIP plan just to get rid of PIP or whatever it is called that to get rid of somebody, it's tough.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
typically it should be like to help recover somebody or something like that. You shouldn't be using it to get rid of, like you just said, you shouldn't use it to get rid of anybody. That's
no,
bad business.
no, it is. And there it comes to the culture again. Comes to
Mhm.
the culture of the company. Times have changed. Listen, times are changing. I don't know how some of these bigger companies with logistics centers, when you have 2,000 people in a warehouse, how in the hell do you manage that? How in the world? When you take these big companies, Amazon, Walmart's, and Fed, all these huge, how the hell do you manage that many people? You got to have one hell of a team.
Yeah, exactly. And you got like supervisors managing certain team members, and yeah,
Jeez.
it's basically it's just like in the military. If you think about it, you got your squads, your platoons, then your
Yeah, and I mean, they're all
battalions,
worth.
or I'm sorry, companies and battalions, and then regiments.
Jesus.
Trying to,
Here's
that's why I like
here's
small business.
the what?
That's why I like being in small business. I don't
I
like
know
being
it's a
big.
lot better, right? You don't have
It
to
is.
worry when you're smaller. One here is unresponsive to feedback. Employees who aren't responsive to coaching or feedback fail to make necessary changes despite repeated explicit attempts to work with them. There it comes back to the same thing, unresponsive. Listen, if I love my job. I like my job. They treat me well. I listen. I don't know. That's just me. I mean,
Yeah.
I really believe you should let employee voice their opinion.
Hmm.
All right. If Joel, you wrote me up saying, Dave, this is what we're going to do it this way. Well, Joel, if we do it this way, okay, that's a great idea. But still, at the end of the day, if that's what the manager says, I mean, you just do it.
Well,
You know.
there's two things I've learned with just employees and just people in general.
Yeah.
They always want two things. They want to have their needs met and they want to be heard.
Yep. I like that. Needs met. Whoa.
Yep. They want to have their needs met and they want to be heard. And
What do
those
you?
are two major
That is
things.
so weird the way you say that. When you say that needs, when you meet their needs or anything, yeah, you want to. Wow. I don't know.
Yeah. What is it that you need? I want to be paid more. Okay, it's probably not going to happen. What else? And then they'll start complaining about something. Like, okay, cool, heard you. And it's good with what you're saying. Like, I think we should do it like this. Granted, I got that, and I had to do it. I've had to do that with where I'm at currently, where I've had a couple of people come up. Why are we changing this? We should stick with this. I'm like, well, we have customers that need this product
Need that.
more than what we need this, and we need to get this out because it's going to pay us more eventually in the end. In the long run of the big scheme of things, the company's going to get more money out of this, and if we go back to this product.
Go back to that part.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to remember that one, what you said.
Yeah, thanks.
It's kind of like a catering. We talked about resistance to change. Listen, if the person's not willing to change, you really go out of your way for an employee. Really write everything down. Listen, you got to write it down. See what you can do for the person first.
Mhm.
Again, learn about the employee, what you're having problems with, but address the issue. And really, I think you'll feel a lot better. I know I did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's off your back.
And at the end of the day, when you come off after talking with one of those difficult employees, and if you're feeling good about yourself, and how you did, not saying that you fired the guy. If you fire the guy and you feel good, there's something wrong with you.
Yep.
But if you come out of the conversation and you feel accomplished, like you accomplished something, and it wasn't a negative thing, like y'all both had a good conversation, and it changed for better, then you did something right.
They did it right. What do you think this one here is? Here's a couple things that from a Harvard study. Be timely and deal with issues as they rise. That we talked like that. Be open to employees' perspective. I think that's pretty good right there. Keep it short and let the employee respond. Keep it short and let the employee respond. So I believe what it means by that is, I think sometimes if you're maybe either writing somebody up or you're discussing with it, maybe you talk too much. I think that's what I did. Let the employee talk.
Yep, exactly. You have to do that. And one of the ways you can also help control the conversation by using questions. Use questions to help control the conversation. Okay, well, why do you think that? And they'll go off. Okay, you think that because of this, right? And even if you don't understand why they feel that way, or you feel this way because of this, they go, no, I feel this way because of this, and they'll explain it better. Like, oh, okay, understood. And try to control the conversation, and then you can get near the end of it, start understanding, particularly if they like step out of line, and then you go, oh, so you did it because of this. But
you think that's what it means? I think that's what it is.
Say this, right? And they're like, whoa, and they start thinking, you know what I'm talking about? Like, kind of use it a little bit like that, just so they can understand where they kind of slipped up or why they're being negative or something like that is going on
when they're going there. I looked at the other one was show empathy and genuine care. I mean, listen, again, I think it's a lot different now than it was. I don't know, man. Back in the 90s, even in the 80s, it was just, woo.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we knew what the word empathy was. I really don't.
No.
Empathy and genuine care in the union environment, they would have been like, what the hell? The guy's kicking my freaking door down.
Yeah, like, get out of here. We're not dealing with you.
Yeah, get out of here. You just talked. I call my time at the paper industry of that union, it was like 10 years. Verbal abuse. I felt it was dictatorship. It was a dictatorship. It was those upper people there for management for the paper. But I get it. I understand. The things had to run, man. You didn't make money when the machines were down, and I understand that.
Yep.
But I think that's where I learned how to be cold sometimes, because I didn't care. I just told it, you just get out of my and all. You would just swear. You just did everything.
Wow. That's back in the day.
Yeah. Now you just raise your voice and you're done.
Did you ever watch the show Dinosaurs? That was on the ABC back in the 80s and 90s.
What was that about?
It was Puppeteers by Jim Henson. It was awesome puppeteering how they did it. But they always it was revolved around this family called the Sinclair family. They were like T-Rexes and stuff like that.
Right.
And his boss was a Triceratops, and he's always yelling, "Sinclair, get in here!" And he just start it's ABC, so he's not swearing or anything like that, but he's just cussing and berating him like, "Look, I'm getting paid a lot of money for you to go out and push stuff so I can sit on my butt. You're gonna go out and push trees down so I can't sit on my butt."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jeez. What the hell was that called again?
It's called Dinosaurs.
All right. I'll Google it. I'm going to come up with a Disney
It's pretty
channel.
hilarious, particularly when he's dealing with the boss and everything. Is exactly what you're talking about.
Ugh. This one here, don't sandwich negative feedback between positive reinforcement.
Okay.
Don't sandwich negative feedback between positive reinforcement. So I'm trying to think if that means you're given negative and then you're giving them both at the same time, maybe? This was a Harvard study. It was a Harvard study.
It's saying say something positive, then something negative, and then end on a positive note.
Well, I think everybody's taught that to end of the meeting something positive. You really don't want to walk away unless
that's the sandwich that they're talking about. Something positive, something negative, and then you say something positive. That's sandwiching it right there.
Well, that's a friggin' oh my God, we got all right. Drop the friggin' microphone.
Yeah.
This is the legend himself.
Nice.
Mr. Tim during COVID. You know Tim too?
Yeah, I've seen him a couple times. Yeah.
Oh my God, how's it going, Tim? Mine, this has been years. During COVID, he's big on LinkedIn, but he's big on social media too.
Mm-hmm.
All the Facebook, and we had gone through. I hope everything's well, Tim. God, I'm looking now. It's like that's the man. I used to follow him all the time.
Nice.
I don't see anything. LinkedIn is just horrible anymore. Tim, you know what I mean? I don't see him. Why don't I see him? I will now. The next couple of weeks, Tim's going to be in my feed. I'll be seeing him all the time.
Algorithms are going to be in there and have it all pop up for you.
That's it. Now I'm going to see his show again because he does a great show. Tim, are you still doing your shows? Let me know. I'm going to have to see on there, but he did a lot of shows. But don't sandwich the feedback. I like that one.
Yeah, so that's what that is. And I can understand that a little bit because you kind of want to get to the meat of the what we just talked about, get to the meat of the sandwich. Talk what's the whole reason you're having a meeting.
Well, then another part of the study, aim for a 3-1 ratio, positive to negative. I'm like, man, in your head, all right, aim for a 3.31 ratio of positive negative feedback. Well, I don't know.
I can see that a little bit, but it just depends on the conversation.
Keep a little notepad. Okay, positive, negative. Now, what I did learn for meetings, I did learn this. When I prepared for my morning meetings, I always had written down some positives and negatives, and you did try to balance it. I will agree to that because but 3-1, I'd be like, whoo.
I guess it depends on the situation.
Yeah, that's true. This one here, practice what you're going to say and how. Let me tell you, if I would have learned that from before, I would have been a rock star, man.
Yep.
I was just too off the wall. That's where I think as you evolve, you step back, you breathe, you listen, then you'll comment because that will get you in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's true. We practice. I tell all my my Toastmasters too, as well. When they do speeches, practice the speech before you come up and give your speech. It's the best way to do it. You have to practice.
And always anticipate. What I've learned is when I wrote down for my meetings, I would write down what I'm going to talk about and then what we can do to fix it. But you always try to stay a step ahead. Like, okay, I know they're going to say this. What am I going to say as a comeback?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I've learned, don't talk too much.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Don't talk that much. Just keep it short. And I think that's what it means, a lot of it there, because once you start going on and on and on, before you know it, you're like, all right, in your mind, you're saying, shut up. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. You know, all right, Dave, shut up. But it keeps talking.
Another thing, that's a very good point too, because if you start getting emotional with it, you're going to talk more. So you need to make sure you keep your emotions in check as well when you're doing something like that.
They'll see it. And listen, I've been there to where I gulped. I was nervous. You could see my voice break when I was younger. When I was like, if you didn't have that happen to you, something's wrong, because it was just like, or you walk away from your meeting like, why did I say that? Why did I say that? Damn it!
Like,
I know. I'm like, oh, what the hell did I say that?
Yeah.
But here it says create a favorable environment for feedback. So create a favorable environment for feedback. I mean, I don't know what.
Does that mean like, so the employees get feedback to the meeting, the discussion, or?
Let me read the one prior to it. This is all coming down through everything. So let me read the one. Let me go right in order, because this makes sense then. Aim for behavioral awareness, not fixing someone.
Okay.
Aim for behavioral awareness, not fixing. So I'm thinking if that means that you just want to get to know the person, like what they're going through, maybe, or behavioral awareness. I read that one.
You want to make them aware of what their behavior is doing and how it's affecting others.
Okay. Yeah, I think you could do that. Yeah, that's true. Behavioral awareness, not fixing. So you're not fixing someone, like you're not going to deal with it. You're going to try to get them help. I'm trying to think if that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, make them be aware of, like, hey, you're being really negative and it's affecting a lot of people.
Oh my God! Here's the other legend,
Matt Looney. Matt.
Yeah, we're gonna do a show next week. We're trying to get. I was talking to him today. We're trying to find some LinkedIn experts, actually, maybe even work for LinkedIn.
Oh,
so cool. I told Matt today, I even messaged 6 people for my credits I used to LinkedIn Learning and all that, to say, hey, would anybody like to come on a show for like a 3-part series with Matt and myself, and come on there and try to, find somebody that really knows the LinkedIn. I mean, we all talk about it, but I think trying to get that expertise in there, that we want to try to add that flavor, just get that in there. But Matt says, always keep your emotions, and right there, otherwise people will exploit it. That's 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing wrong with being emotional. There's nothing wrong with walking away with your composure or something like that, and try it in again. I've walked away and I said, all right, we're going to continue this on another time. I've cut it. And then it gave me a time to sit down. Okay, what do I need to say? You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes too, like if you're having a hard time with it, like controlling emotions, you can always talk to your boss too. Like, hey, I'm about to reprimand this person. I need help, or I'm really pissed off about this. And 9 times out of 10, if they're a good boss, they're going to sit there and talk with you too. If they're a good supervisor, manager, they'll sit there and help guide you through it. Like, look, I understand you're upset. Why do you feel this way? Well, they did this, and this. I'm like, okay, so this is what you need to address with.
Yep. The HR part of it is always there. Again, a lot of this I'm reading here, what the experts say. I know it's frustrating, but sometimes you have to pass it on.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
Yep.
There's some things you can't say. You're going to get the company in trouble, or you're going to get yourself in trouble, and it's not worth it. I mean, I don't know what you would do for there, but again, you need to be real careful.
Yeah. In fact, I had one guy who's complaining to me, just had this laundry list of things, and I had too much work going on. I was like, you know what? Let's just walk down the hallway and talk to HR, man. It's like, you tell them what you're hearing. And I was like, look, you got him. I'm out. I got to do stuff.
You have to. And again, when I say employees are watching you, then they're all going to talk about you. The biggest thing you got to really be careful, and this was a mistake that I made a lot when I was younger, is, after you've confronted, say, different things about issues with employees, don't run your mouth and tell other people what happened. Listen, I did it. I made those mistakes evolving through my career. You know, you think that person, you trust them, and well, you know what? I just had a meeting with John. I told him blah blah blah, and you probably didn't even say that. You know, but you'll make it sound that gets out to all your employees that, oh yeah, Dave had a meeting with him, and then they find out that you didn't. It does not go right. I'm telling you, and I just don't do that anymore. You keep your mouth shut.
Yep. Don't mention it to anybody or anything like that. Particularly if it's a negative stuff about another employee that you had a meeting with. Don't mention it to anybody or anything like that. Let them run.
And I tell the employees that too. I tell them that too. Just don't go out there. Listen, you might be having problems. You don't have to go out there and tell them, you know, oh, were you written up? It's none of their business.
Yep, exactly.
It's none of their business. So I think if you talk to them, but come on, you've had to make that mistake.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Years and years ago, I've made that mistake. I've learned from it too.
Yep. I've learned not to talk too loud.
Yep.
When you're in a warehouse, you're talking, you think somebody's not right around the corner listening to you. Your your conversations with other management people, you gotta really be careful, because that will even bite you. And you know, I feel like I'm going to write a book.
We can. We can write a book on all this.
Well, there's nothing wrong with saying that you've made no mistakes, because for somebody that's listening to this that hasn't had it happen to them, it could.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
it's just what you think. Like, that's why when I do reprimand management like that, it's either in my office with the rest of like upper management, or we're going to the training room or something like that where it's on their turf. And where I know we're like for my company, our training room's like far away from where everybody else is. So if anybody's listening, they should be there.
Yeah, I used to like bringing somebody in with me when I was younger. I didn't know what to say.
That's a good idea.
I didn't know what to say, so I would bring in one of my managers or bosses that were a little bit higher up and say, hey, could you sit in this meeting with me?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
They would catch me. You know, they're kind of like your wingman. They would catch you, like if you didn't say something right, you know, they'll jump in there and then they'll say it for you. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help with that. And there's nothing wrong for a new supervisor. Even new, listen, I still feel that I got a long life to live yet, that I'm going to run into these situations. And there's always somebody that can really walk you through that and help you, you know, evolve to learn what to say and how you say it and how your body language, when mine's been all over the place now. You can tell I'm frustrated sometimes with it, but it's the way your tone. We talked about with Andre when we're saying, when you're writing people up. Again, if you really like writing people up and you like firing people, something's wrong with you.
I agree completely. That's just
something is wrong with you. If you enjoy firing people, you shouldn't have to fire. Sorry, you could reduce, again, that behavior modification. We've talked about it a couple of times. Give that employee many chances of teaching it. I mean, but again, right here it says, at the end of the day, accept that some people won't change.
Yep, exactly. Some people won't. It's just like we talked about.
No.
They don't want to accept change or anything. They're not they're not the wet baby.
And I'm sure in the Marines, when you were in there for that many years, you see how they get kicked out. You know, well, you know, they get thrown out of the military or something like that. But the military gives you a lot of chances.
Oh yeah, because you signed a contract with them. You really have to do something bad to get kicked out of the military.
Yeah.
Something needs to be going on. Now, if it's medical, that's a whole different issue. But for disciplinary reasons, yeah, you really have to be doing something bad.
Do you find a difference from being that many years in the Marine? Now, I was only in for like 4 years, but you were in for a longer time. Do you feel a lot of that training coming out on you when you're with teams? You know what I mean? Like the management you've been in, you've had, 17, 20 years or 17
years.
17 years is a long time in the military.
Yeah.
You know, and you're drilled by that. So when you come out to civilian life, that's had to have been a big change for that many years.
It was a huge change. I had a very huge difficulty with accepting how civilians run, because civilian, no offense, like all the civilian viewers and everything, it's like herding cats.
Yep,
it really is, and you're just trying to lead them along. And sometimes the only way you do is with a treat, and the other times you just gotta like, hey, here's the red dot, follow the red dot, shiny.
Yeah, and shiny.
Yeah.
I love that.
Really, you got to figure out a way to like distract them and get their attention to do it. Whereas in the military, they have to listen.
Yeah, I miss that sometimes. But the training that you got in there, I think everybody that's been in the military is just it just learns so much about the discipline. It's more discipline, I think, too, when it comes to it. You just didn't speak back. I don't know. It was just drilled in you. You just didn't do that.
No.
You
something
couldn't
else
do it.
I've noticed too, particularly with a lot of younger people into the workforce, is the complaining. Like some people that get like little, what was it, a couple weeks ago, I got a
Right.
couple metal shavings in my hand. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, it hurt a little bit when it hit. And I was like, went home, got tweezers and pulled them out. And there was a couple kids. I'm going to say kids. I mean, they're in their early 20s. So they're 20 years. I'm 20 years their elder.
Right.
And, you know, they're like, oh, my hand's hurt. I got to go get the splinter out and everything. I'm like, it's just a little tiny thing. It's not going to kill you. You'll get over this.
Oh
Just
my
wait.
God.
Yeah. And they're always like going through the thing, like getting the little splinter system removing. You got to be safe and stuff like that. But, you know, you got gloves on, you're still getting splinters. Like something's wrong with you.
We had one sergeant. I'll never forget him, Sergeant Swans. He was an E5. He was getting close. He was getting kind of booted out of the military. He had a lot, 15 years or something like that. He got demoted, but long story short, he couldn't re-up. He was the best, and I'll never forget him because he always had us young kids on the tanks. And he would tell you right off the bat, I don't care if you don't agree with me or everything. I want you to tell me. I want you to say it. And you'd start yelling, just go louder. He'd be like, say it louder. And you would be like, but he would say, okay, are you done? Yes. And then he would just tell you had to do it anyway.
Yeah.
What I liked about him is we always would say, sorry, permission to speak freely, you know, and you would say it like that, permission to speak freely. So that means anything you could say what you want. Voice it, get it out of there. I don't know if that would work here in the civilian life as much. Speak freely, because then you can't use it against them. Because if you're telling somebody to speak freely, you better be prepared, and that's just the way it was.
Exactly.
You know, and I kind of like that because you could you could say you could tell him you're an ass. I can't stand you. I don't like you. Are you done now? He'd be like, are you done? You know, I'd be like, oh my God, we're hungry. We want to eat.
Back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he'd be like, no, you're going to finish this, then you're going to eat. But you didn't say no. You wanted to eat. But he was a great man. But
that's funny.
It is. So, but Joe, I want to thanks again for coming on. You know, 51 minutes. Look at that. We're right in there. 51 minutes.
You're awesome.
If you want to give the advice out there to, again, some new leaders or something, you know, you want to end on that, then I'll give you my peace of mind.
Yeah, sure. For all the new leaders and everything, like what we were talking about, have empathy, but also have that line. Know what kind of leader you are. Is what we talked about before. Know yourself, seek improvement, and then understand, then get to know your employees. You got to know yourself before you know your employees. Know them, and then you understand what's happening.
Yeah, that's a good advice there because it's so true. Did you read my thing? Because that says that.
I'm just good. What can I say? It's telepathy. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. My advice too is, you know, listen, it's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to feel nervous when you're a new supervisor, or you've been into it for 15, 20 years. It's okay to be nervous going on that first day and you're taking over a new site. It's expected. You're going to have those nerves, you know, at home. My advice is just discuss it with someone. If it's something eating at you, discuss it. A good HR department, I'm not going to dog them. They don't say nice things all the times, but seriously, on a good note, a good HR team is a really good team to have behind your back. Like Rob, you know, you have issues, you should be able to go to HR. You should be able to go to your supervisor if that problem's giving you. Listen, there's nothing wrong with going with anybody. You're trying to resolve. You shouldn't have to worry about, like, if you're going through problems at work and maybe you don't want to lose your job. You've been there for 10 years. There's something wrong if you got let go and you've only been written up once or twice in 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You try to avoid it. Talk with your managers. Don't run your mouth real loud and scream and holler. And it's just a no-win. So on that note, everybody, thank you, Joel. I'm going to talk to you right after the show, and I'm sure we'll be back in about a week or two. And I always got to do this. I'm going to play my video one more time.
Yes.
Have a good night, everybody. Here we go.